What is allegory? Allegory is a form of narrative or a visual image whose literal or obvious meaning masks one or more other meanings, often with a didactic purpose. Allegory is often defined as an extended or sustained metaphor. The term is taken from the Greek word, allegoria, which derives from the verb agoroiein, meaning to speak publicly, as in the marketplace or agora, and the adverbial form of olos, meaning other. Allegory is one of the most common and fertile of all the devices used in literature and the visual arts, and it can be argued that it is an integral part of the Western philosophical tradition that stems from Plato, and the contention that appearances are the allegorical equivalents of a higher reality. It must be noted that allegory cannot be defined as a specific genre, as it can be an element of many different genres and can appear in both comic and tragic modes and may take the form of either prose or verse. Satire may take an allegorical form, such as Orwell's Animal Farm, but so too can the celebration and inculcation of moral values in Renaissance painting. One of the classic examples of allegory in English literature is John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress, in which Christian's decision to leave home in search of the celestial city indicates a formal kinship with the genre of the quest narrative. Most of the public statuary to be observed in Western cities is allegorical in nature, and can represent either civic virtues or historical events. For example, Warner 1985 provides a fascinating account of allegorical statues. Also, a village pageant or even a school play may be allegorical. The elaborate masks favored by European court society were also allegories. Love's Triumph Through Callipolis, written by Ben Jonson, designed and staged by Inigo Jones and performed in the Whitehall Banqueting Hall in January 1631, was a typical example in which Charles I took the part of heroic love and, attended by lords dressed as other forms of exemplary love, drove evil forms of sensuality out of the land in a celebration of both the Platonic virtues and royal power. Allegory in painting and sculptures is one of the objects of study of iconography. Renaissance and post-Renaissance painters often took their conventional devices from icon books, such as Cesare Ripa's Iconologia of 1593, which recommended that good counsel should be represented as an old man holding a book on which there perches an owl, an ancient symbol of wisdom. He tramples on a bear representing anger, and a dolphin representing haste. The literary critic Northrop Frye notes that commentary and interpretation are forms of allegory to the extent that they attach ideas to the structure of poetic or verbal imagery, and extract a general meaning from them. Allegorical interpretation was an important aspect of the process that allowed the Christian world to appropriate the art of the pagan ancient world. The figure of the Greek Athena, virgin goddess and dispenser of justice, is gradually transformed into the Roman Minerva or goddess of wisdom, and is then allegorically interpreted as a representation of Christianity's virtue of prudence. Allegorical interpretation of the type that transforms a pagan goddess into a Christian virtue, or the eroticism of the Song of Songs into a spiritual text, is possible because almost all allegories can be read on more than one level without losing their narrative consistency. The Pilgrim's Progress can, that is, be read as the story of a man called Christian who meets a giant called Despair and crosses a swamp called the Slough of Despond. School children read Gulliver's Travels with pleasure and without suspecting that it has multiple layers of political meaning. Spenser's The Faerie Queene can be read and enjoyed both as a chivalric romance and as a eulogy of Elizabeth I. A modern allegory such as Albert Camus' The Plague can be read as an account of an outbreak of plague that occurred in the Algerian city of Oran in 194. It can also be read as an allegory both of the Nazi occupation of France and of the human condition itself.